Good morning and welcome to DualiTEA. I'm your host Akasha and I'm here with our special guest Londie. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. It's been a minute. I'm happy that it came to fruition. We got to, find a Wednesday that worked.
Right.
And having it after this very intense, very needed retrograde.
Yes.
And reflecting period.
Refocus and retracing steps that we don't want to and just kind of had to.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because it's like I was listening to the last episode that I did this morning, and it was called Recalibration. And we literally called it Recalibration. So like in that whole episode, it was like peak retrograde, but we didn't even necessarily talk about it much. It was just in it, right? And then, when I was thinking about today's topic, how we're doing like retrograde recovery, I'm like, that's so funny. I'm like, because it's like this retrograde hit so much, we needed 2 episodes 3 weeks apart, talking about 2 separate kind of experiences. Okay, we need to recalibrate while we're in the middle of it. That's what's known. Okay, now we need to recover from what we had to recalibrate
and
from.
Look at it from hindsight, like, because in the middle, sometimes stuff could get lost.
Yeah.
But it was definitely something. I just knew I wasn't going to get touched by it, but that was bad because my Mercury is in Libra.
Oh, so it was like at you, literally.
Yeah, and it was birthday season for me, so it was just touching more ways than one because I got like Libra, Venus, Sun, and Mercury. It's in my 4th house, communication.
Oh, wow,
so it just really like boom.
Yeah, that was like really
like, okay, we doing this. Copy.
That was hitting across the board for you, this transit, this retrograde.
Yeah.
And there's other planets that were in retrograde too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think was Saturn?
I was gonna say I think it was Saturn, Saturn and maybe 1 or 2 other ones. I know some station before it like got crazy. Like I know last year there was like mad planets in retrograde.
A storm up there. So I don't but those didn't really affect me as much.
That's how I felt as well.
Yeah.
This year was different though. This it's like I felt pretty okay. Like I felt retrograde being retrograde-y, you know what I mean? For sure.
Definitely.
Like I definitely felt it like while it was happening, but it was especially once the shadow period, like I feel like the shadow period. So for those who aren't familiar with Mercury retrograde and or shadow period, Mercury retrograde is when the planet of Mercury looks like it appears like it's going backwards, but really it's slowing down. So Mercury being the planet in control of communications, electronics, things of that sort, it kind of like interferes with these things. So you might see more car accidents. You might see people not able to communicate the way they would like to, or having like difficulties speaking on things in more clarity. And amongst many other things. And you can even see that it's noted by pilots that they avoid certain routes during retrograde, because it's not only like, oh, this is a spiritual thing. Like this is a scientific thing. We're talking about planets here and how they're all connected. Earth is a planet as well, and each of these planets have an effect on each other. You look at the sun and you think about how it can warm us. You look at these different planets, you see the space and time and how they all affect, and the gravitational pull and all that. So, but I'm not here to pitch you how to that astrology is real. You could just you figure that out. You have whatever process you need for that. But yeah, so retrograde is like that, and then 2 weeks before there's a shadow period of it like setting up, and then 2 weeks after there's a shadow period of retrograde. So it stations and it goes back in alignment with the other planets. But like in that process, it's like imagine being behind in a race where you're trying to catch up, and then you finally catch up and you're just out of breath. Like that's what shadow period is. Like shadow period is like, okay, I've caught up, I'm stationed, I'm with everybody, but I'm exhausted.
I'm tired.
I'm exhausted. Like this is a lot. And I feel like shadow period is always like I'm pretty good during retrograde. You know, I have a lot of Mercury and mercurial energy in my chart. So I feel like retrogrades, I actually feel a little bit of more peace in some weird way. But then the shadow period happens, and then I get slapped.
Right.
And
like phone charger,
cat, everything.
Yeah.
Like just all of these things that are just like, it's like the good, and it's the not the bad, but maybe the not so good, the balance of like, okay, well, here's whatever is going to ground you, because I feel like even during retrograde, I was feeling and experiencing a lot of happiness, which is great. You know what I mean? Like, to experience happiness is a great thing. And I feel that when you kind of get wrapped up in happiness, sometimes you can get distracted too. Just as like when you're wrapped up in sadness, you can get distracted. Any strong emotion, you know, so whatever it is that needs to balance, for me personally, it was like, all right, well, now you have to deal with this situation. So you need to like kind of nest and ground, if that makes sense.
Tune in and pay attention.
Yeah, like to wherever it just, the balance is needed to adjust. But how was this retrograde for you? What was coming up?
I didn't even realize like car accidents were a part of that, and I definitely was in a car accident the day before my birthday.
Oh yeah, you were
in my Uber. And so vain of me, but I was not even worried. I was like, I just fixed my hair.
It's
like, and I'm in the backseat like, but everything was fine. I'm glad. Like everything else was fine, but yeah, I had, like you said, I was happy. It was little things at first, and then like one big thing that I was like kind of burying, pushing away, like literally blocked out. But when it was presented to me, I kind of like folded and like went back into a relationship thing that I swore I was off of, but everything came rushing back in.
Well, that's what retrograde's about. It's like
I was like, oh God, girl, what's going on?
It's like, honestly, this is the first, I think one of the like first or second times of like retrogrades of my life that I actually didn't have any kind of like ex experiences, you know what I mean? But like, it's so common. That's something that's so common within retrogrades, is like, you know, your ex reaching out to you, or you being the ex that reaches out. It's like, there's that time in retrograde where it's like, I don't think I have closure. I think that then right now in the middle of retrograde, it would be a really great time to try to find some
during retrograde. Okay, like,
let me try to find some closure in the midst of this planet being like almost in reverse. Let's go ahead and do that.
Right, but usually I'm okay with that. Like if it's like through text, I could like easily ignore you. I mean, I have so many like texts and emails that I'm like, I forget them by accident sometimes. So. But it was literally face to face, where it was like, what are you gonna do now? You can't block them. Yeah. So
it's not Black Mirror. You can't like blur the human.
I wish. They need to make
you are blocked in real life.
Right, you can't see me. That would be nice. They need to come up with that soon.
That would be. I don't know. I feel like that's too AI involved for me. I'm like I'm gonna take a whole pause on like maybe not just yet. Like maybe not just
maybe
yet.
In that metaverse, whatever's coming out, that'll be
the Facebook thing, right? Like what I don't
know.
I typed in Facebook yesterday to I forgot exactly what I was doing. I was probably checking on the lost and found thing, but I typed and it came up as Meta, and I was just like, already? Like y'all announced this like 5 minutes ago.
Right.
Like why are you changing it to this?
Right.
It just feels very futuristic, and I don't know. I have resistance to it, but you know maybe that's something I need to sit and unpack with myself. But at the same token, you know, that's a whole other conversation. Like, I feel like there's an episode that needs to happen about, because this is the second time in a row, last episode, because I just listened to it this morning, where there's like a brief like mention of like AI and like the evolution of AI, and then every time I'm like, all right, we have a different episode for that, because it's like scary. It's scary, it's heavy. It's like when you can imagine iRobot happening in real life, it's like shit, like where are we moving towards, you know?
Right.
But
They have their own thoughts and
their own consciousness. There's like, I mean, said we're not going to get into it, gets into it anyway.
Like a little
There's
bit,
a whole
dabble.
book that's called The Spirit of the Machine or something like that. And my friend had put me onto it. And it is a really difficult book to read. Just the literature in it, just like how it's worded, it's very difficult. I literally have the book and I have the audio book. I'm like, you're gonna get through this. Like, we're gonna make it, because I feel like I read the same sentence over and over and over again. But I still didn't yet. But I need to, and then that's when I'll come on here and talk about it fully, because then I'll have more
Insight on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, so you know, I know that you are very much so one of those people that are entrepreneur,
Yes.
like to do a bunch of different things,
Too
jack of all
much.
trades.
Too many things, but it all works out. It's just like, I try not to overextend myself, which happens a lot. So I need to find the balance between making time to recuperate just for myself and not just giving out to things to just generate money, and realize like the goal for me is to save it to apply to these things, or use it to apply to these things and not get caught up. So for me, my mind can wander, so I really have to write lists and have pictures literally on my phone of what I want to accomplish. Like, well, see, I don't answer these notifications, but like this.
Oh, would you have a vision board on your phone?
On my
That's
phone.
so smart. I was literally just saying how I want to do a vision board, and like now, like it's even take after I make the physical one, I will absolutely take a picture.
Yeah, I can't.
And put it on the
I'm
phone.
never home to look at it, so
Yeah,
I have to put it somewhere
that's
I
so
can actually
smart.
see.
Make a vision board and put it on your phone, people.
On your
Thank
lock
Alonda.
screen.
Like they make your lock screen, make it your do all the things.
Something
like that's
that
like
you're always
how.
gonna look at, because if you're not home and you're an entrepreneur, it's like, what's the point? Unless it's just affirmations, in the morning.
That's true. And the thing that when you just mentioned, like, taking the time to navigate between rest and go, right, is like something that I think is also really blessed that does happen is like when you're an entrepreneur or when you're a person who like freelances or does a bunch of like kind of like random jobs, which I can relate, and I'm one of those people, is like you have more control in when you can take the breaks,
Right.
and rather than when you are in a routine and a regimen, there's certain ways to go about it. Like you have to put in time for it. And if you have the time, if you have the vacation time, if you're allowed to do that,
Ask
when you're
permission as an adult.
exactly. And it's crazy because like that's the norm, like I didn't realize, because even before when I was working a traditional 9 to 5, I was gonna say 5 to 9. I was like, everything I've been saying recently has been backwards, so please don't mind me if I do that.
Come on, like.
Yeah, even if it wasn't, like I'm dyslexic, but it's like, what was I saying?
When you worked your 9 to 5.
Oh yes, 5 to 9. When I was working that job, even though it's like traditionally looking like more of a normal job, it was like I didn't get paid for my days off. So like I didn't realize that people literally only took days off that they got paid for. Like if you ask a person who works one of these like I guess regular jobs, like nurse or city worker or whatever, and they can't get off and get paid, they like won't take off a lot, which is like but you could still take off, you just won't get paid. But like the only time I've ever taken off in my life, like there's only when I was working at Starbucks was the only time I ever got to take a day and like have
do whatever you want.
Yeah, like and like get paid for it. Like but every other job I had, I would have to sacrifice my pay for that day, regardless of what job it was. And so with that, I was like, wow, it people there, it's the system is set up so that you literally are like consensually signing to the control in a way that I don't even think that most people realize unless they've had unconventional jobs prior and like had more control of their schedules. Like there's some people that I've witnessed like go into these jobs and like really be like, oh my god, I can't miss this day, I have to do it this way, I'm super structured, I can't mess this up. And it's like, I understand you want to like keep your job. At the end of the day, like they could cut you for anything. And then you have more people that are more aware of it. They're like, like, I know I'm a number, like I'm gonna do the same thing that they're doing. They don't give a shit about me, I don't give a shit about them.
I can't even knock that, because I was one of those people, like once upon a time, not now clearly, but like I would be like, oh, I'm not calling out, I have to do this. And then, you know, it was about work. It was kind of like drilled into us as a kid. Like we had to go to school. It's like a routine, and then it goes from school to work at those times, and you can't miss school or you're gonna, you know, fail. So it kind of like translate from school to work, and it's kind of beating your head, do this, you know. So I can't knock them for that, and it's kind of scary. It's not for everybody. Let's just say, like, it's scary to like not know when your next income is coming, when you're steady. But if you really like want to take a leap of faith, you just gotta trust in yourself. Like you could get literally paid for anything, you know. And it's not like, I don't know where I was going with this, but you can make things happen for yourself. It's just like you're giving power to these other people when you should really look into yourself and what you really like, because you can get paid for what you love, like your hobbies, your skills that you didn't think were real skills. That's literally what happened to me. I was bartending on the side, and I had like one of the best opportunities in my life, like to go to Hawaii, to get paid. They pay for my school right now, even though I'm not there. And everyone that's like, oh, get a real job. That job paid more in a few months than what people make in a year. So it's like, what's real to you? And ID that.
For sure.
Just go for it.
And like you were saying too, it's like, you know, whatever it's, I feel like the key recipe to anything that you do is like believing in yourself, you know. And it's like when we get caught up in these traditional jobs, it's like some of them are really like incredible. Like, you know, like I know like my mother's a nurse and she loves being a nurse. She loves helping everything, like pregnant women, babies, like everything about it. She teaches class, she loves it. And although she could have like a conventional job, like she loves that. And, you know, and I'm sure that after she's done doing that, she will pursue something in the lines of that and continue to, you know, pass that information on. But not everyone's passions and like purposes align with their professions. Some people's do and others don't. And I feel like it's up to us to discern that in seeing like, well, you know, working at this place in this space is helping me get by, but what am I passionate about? Like what brings me joy and what brings me excitement, and what do I feel like comes naturally to me that people also benefit from. And in that pursuit, there's like these different transitions. Like before people take a leap, they might, you know, hop or do jumping jacks, where it's like, okay, I'm going to keep this job and I'm going to dabble in doing things myself. Right. And it's like, I know for myself, I've done that for a long time. And then I'll go through periods of like, all right, no, I'm fully into my entrepreneurial self. Right. And I'm like hopping from this and this and this and this. And then I'm like, okay, let me get a stable job now. Boom. Pulls one stable job in and then does the other things.
Like a little bit until you get to where you're feeling safe in your savings or whatever. And then go for it. You don't even have to just jump all the way in. You could do part-time, your regular job, and then see if what you're passionate about is like something you want to do for work. Because sometimes if you start doing something you like for work, it's not, you don't get that same feeling anymore. It's like,
it like takes from it.
Like intrinsic, something like that. I read about it in psychology. But like, it's not like that anymore. So it's like the joy that you got from it is now like you're doing it all the time for work. So just to find that balance in between that.
Yeah. And it's like finding that balance, and also like truly believing in yourself. It's like the only difference between you and other people that are doing things and pursuing their passions that they love is like believing in yourself, you know. It's like there's plenty of unbalanced people that are believing in themselves that are just like, you know, maybe they should pause and like be a little bit more balanced.
Listen, but they got the balls to go out and do it. Like, that's all you need.
And that's so commendable, because it's so difficult, especially in a world and a society where it's like, not only do we have our own traumatic experiences growing up and having whatever traumas we have, whatever flavor of trauma we have with our personal family and experience and upbringing of like, but then you have society, and then you have all of these other factors in that can attribute to feeling inadequate. And these different barriers we need to break. And, you know, not every person is the same, and some people may have more than others, and it may sit with people more than others or affect people. You know, someone can like hit their ankle and laugh about it. Another person could hit their ankle and like really cry and like have, and like their ankle could be sensitive and now they have a broken ankle, you know? So it's like everyone goes and experiences things differently. So it's also like being patient with yourself, but being accountable. You know, they were saying like in 2020, or like with everything that happened with unemployment or all of these different things, like, oh, well, you should have been had a business. You should have been done this. You should have been, we had this time in quarantine. But it's like,
not everybody was in that headspace
not
to like
everybody
go.
Headspace.
Like, some people really took it hard.
And
like,
in the survival mode,
yeah.
like it's genuinely survival mode. Some people can navigate out of survival mode, or a part of their survival mode could be their hustle. And like, but other people, it's like their survival mode might need something else before that, or maybe they can hustle, but it's not their passion because they don't want to interlock those two things, you know?
Yeah.
So also just being compassionate with ourselves, because I feel like there's so much pressure of like that entrepreneurial life, like, and it's glamorized in so many ways. And it's like,
you're working 24/7, not 9 to 5, honey.
Exactly, like for real. Like you find it like
always.
You know, there was the thing that we were even doing not too long ago, where it was like we needed to be accountable every day, like damn, for like the 2 hours.
Do my live stream and be done. But it's like, once you think about it, like it's only 2 hours, but it's like, damn, I gotta
do 2 hours. Like I have to carve out 2 hours to be live to do this thing. Like, and it. I was always so grateful when you were on. I was like, oh, thank God.
Right,
Just because we're having like a video chat and doing that and like getting paid for it, like that was great. But you know, then things got like wonky. You know, yeah, wonky is definitely a good word for it. Yeah, so
but it was good while it lasted.
It definitely was. It was like, it was a nice like $500 something. I was like, that was cool.
Just to be on the phone, like you would have been on the phone anyway. But.
Exactly. It was like just to like look at yourself for 2 hours, essentially.
Thanks for the gifts.
Thanks for the gifts. Give me beans. Give me all the beans. Yeah, I was like, I don't understand how everyone's get mad beans. I would just be like, yo, give me beans, and if no one would give me beans, I'm like, all right, maybe I'm aggressive. Like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
That was a funny experience, though. That was cool. I feel like, you know, it's something that I noticed. I felt like that was like setting me up, because like, although, you know, I have the podcast and I do lives and you know, this is live or whatever, and like I have done lives before, it was different, that experience, because it was like, you know, there's people from all over the world. There's people you don't know, different from people you do know. Right. And it's like...
literally all over the world.
Yeah. And it's a whole different kind of navigation of that. And then, like, I seen TikTok started doing that. Like, having the lives very similar.
Really?
Yeah, TikTok has that, but you have to have, like, over 1,000 followers or something like that. I don't know. And, like, and you... like they behave the same way. Like it's the same setup. So I think that app like took it from, it might have, I don't know who did it first, but even the verses and everything, like all of that. Yeah. So I was seeing that on TikTok. I'm like, oh, am I supposed to do this on TikTok? You know, like, was that setting me up for this?
To get to the next level.
Yeah.
Like it actually helped me better with public speaking. Like, you know, I really like getting on the camera. Well, it sounds terrible because I don't like to get on the camera, but I work in front of the camera all the time.
You're literally a model. I feel that though. I would say the same thing. Like I have a podcast. I'll be like, I don't really like going on camera, but
right, but that's my job. So it's just funny how it works like that. Like it just helped me to get more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And like everything else that was going on, like with my school, I'm in school for business, and I had to take all these classes, but they helped me in my real life too, and my entrepreneurship too. Like my public speaking class, like we had to write speeches, and before I was like, can't talk. They were like, you're talking too low. And at the end, like, I learned how to project my voice. Because when I'm talking to my friends, I'm loud. But if it's like a business, I'm like, and it helped me, especially with my job when I go to, like, different places and promote, like, liquor. Like, I'm just more interactive with the people. Like, I know how to read them and how, like, communicate on their level with them. So it definitely helped, especially my experience, like, in Hawaii, where I really got to meet all these people from all over in one space. Like, hearing their stories and what they do, like, it inspired me. Like, there's a whole world out there. Like, people are doing so many things. And it's just, like, get out of your comfort zone. There's nothing there.
Yeah, there's nothing but more comfort. There's nothing new.
Same old,
just the same old. That's so true.
And that was one thing.
So true.
This retrograde is like looking at friendships that I just have for a long time, and it's like, not trying to say like, you know, I experienced so many different people and cultures, and it's like so many things to explore. And it's like, do we really resonate anymore? I feel like we're just holding on to this. I'm not the same person anymore. And I feel like I'm just holding on to stuff that no longer serves me. And it's not in a bad way. It's not like anything big or explosive happened. It's like, why? It's not for me anymore. You understand.
Entirely. I really sips tea. I really understand that, especially right now. Like, that's like in the last episode, like three weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, however long it was, I think it was 3 weeks ago. We're talking about recalibration, and like, it's exactly that. Like, you know, rather than rebirth or renewal, recalibration is like, okay, I'm a little bit off. Back. Yeah, like, I'm a little bit off. I need to fix this one particular thing, and I'm recalibrated. Rather than like renewal or rebirth, it's like I'm redoing everything. Right, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, with that, I feel that like deeply, and I felt that then, and I feel that now, and now I just feel like it's the physical version of it. Like, I feel like once November hit, it was like, okay, you're done with that shit, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, go wash those dishes, then go mop the floor,
go refill that wine,
go go top off your older, like, you know, go take care of these things. And it's I feel good about November. I feel good about this month. You know, I feel like October, not only for me and my own personal things, why October is like heavy. I feel like October is just a heavy month for humanity, especially because it's like, you know, the
changing seasons.
Change of seasons. It's like literally fall. Fall is what the season is called.
Dead leaves.
Exactly. And like, I'm watching them fall and then stepping in them and creating a mess because they're dry, and now there's crumbles of leaves everywhere, and you're just like, what the hell? And you go to leave your, like, for me, I have like I live in a basement apartment, so it's like, the leaves catch.
Block the window.
Yeah, the leaves like catch, and they go all there, and I have to step out, be like, and I have to like crunch, yeah. And I have like the broom, but it felt so good to like clean up those leaves. So like, whatever leaves are, but I left them there for like 2 weeks, a week and a half.
They're pretty when they first fall.
Yeah, they're pretty, and then they're just chaotic. You know what I mean?
Just dry out, and that's it.
Yeah, and you're dragging them with you. Now you're bringing them in your house. You're bringing them to whatever place you're going. Now they're in your car. They're attached to your clothes.
Attached.
Key words. It's like we're saying a lot of things in what we're saying. It's like there's so many layers to what we're talking about right now. So it's like, I strongly recommend anybody who's feeling like they're crunching on a lot of leaves and stepping all over the place on some stuff to, like, you know, get that broom and that dustpan and scoop it all up.
Clear out the cobwebs too.
Yeah. it feels so good to do that. It's like, you know, you always look at the people, like, why are they, I mean, not that, we, you know, not necessarily as much in where we live, but in like Brooklyn, I feel like there's also like people always in the street, like sweeping, you know what I mean? And you look at people like, why are they sweeping all the time? But especially this time of year, it's like, they don't want to step on these leaves, you know? Right. It's like, and when you're doing it physically, mentally, that's the thing that like drives me crazy is like every time I have this realization of like, you know, we can do ritual, we can do all of these things, ceremonies, whatever your belief system is. You could go to church, you can go to retreats, you can be silent for a week, you can do all of these different things. But like the integration is cleaning. Like, at least, like, I'm not even going to say for me. I really would say I would feel as strongly about it enough for it to say it universally for everyone. Like, cleaning is, like, the step in between where you are, what you realize and where you want to be. What you need to do to get there is you need to clean. You need to clean the path. You need to sweep the leaves off your path. You need to throw, you know, bleach on your floor. You need to, whatever it is to clean, it clicks something in your head that opens up the space for wherever you're supposed to go next.
And the new stuff to come in, like clearing out the old and inviting space for the new stuff to like arrive.
Clean and clear.
Right on time too.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And then it's crazy because like the divine time is like once you're like, okay, I'm going to clean my house, and then you clean your house, and then after you clean your house, you're like, all right, I want to get rid of this. Like this no longer suits me. You know, like this stuff is outdated. It's holding on to an attachment of a part of me.
Like it's not my style anymore.
Exactly. And then you let it go and you're like, oh, boom. The thing that I've been waiting for just happened to just fall right into my life now. So it's like, you know, why do you think that can become so difficult?
It's comfort. It's like babies want to let go of their little comfy blankets. Like it's all you know, really. It's like everyone's scared of the unknown. Mm-hmm. It's scary. Like as much as you want something new, sometimes you ask, and then when it's there, you're like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I'm scared. Never mind. And then you go back to what you know, and it's like, I almost did that. I almost self-sabotaged a lot of good stuff for me because I was scared. But then someone was like, you asked for this, you better go. I'm like, all right, let me just go.
And sometimes it's good things, too. Like, sometimes it's not only the bad things, you know. I feel like majority of the time it's the good things that we get the most, like, you know, when we think of the unknown, we're like, oh, all of the possibilities. Like, our brain goes to, like, what can happen that's bad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But like, also,
the worst that can happen.
What can happen that's good? What's the best that can happen? You know what I mean? Some people are more afraid of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Without even fully realizing it, you know?
Scared of success. Fear of success is a real thing.
It definitely is. Would you like more tea?
Yes.
It definitely is. It's called genmaicha. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong. It's green tea and then toasted brown rice.
It smells so good.
It's so amazing. Shout out to Laura, my good friends and acupuncturist, for getting some like authentic, I think it was straight from China or from Japan, I'm not sure.
I'm listening as I'm standing in my messy, unorganized art space.
Well, you know what the next step is, sis. You know what the next step is. It's like, it's wild. It's wild how there's two things. Like last episode, it was like the moment of clarity for me was like stretching. Like I always said that, like, and there's the two things for me. It's always like, it always comes down to stretching and cleaning. You know, I've done all of these different intense things, like getting into like the ceremonies, the, you know, traveling and going these different places, and all of that is so beautiful, and it's needed for many different reasons, especially to create the realizations and like to implement and to want the change, to create the motivation and but the real the real what creates the longevity, at least for myself, is to take those moments to stretch and to take those moments to clean. And the longer I put it off, the more I suffer. But I feel more comfortable in the suffering.
When it's messy, like sometimes I'm not even lie. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm so tired from running here and there. I just want to plop. But if I just plop and like stuff is all unorganized, it's like a reflection of what's going on in my mind.
Messy bed, messy head.
Yeah, so
it's like
I need to clean up so I can think straight. And people think it's so true though. Like, and once it's clean, I can think. Like, stuff happens for real.
Yeah, it really does. And it's like, I feel like those of us that, like, we know it, you know what I mean? Like, we know, but we, once again, feel more comfortable in the chaos, feel more comfortable in the clutter. Because, like, you know, for me, I grew up in a house that had a lot of clutter. You know, it would be clean, but it would be clutter because, like, both my parents are kind of hoarders. So, like, not until, like, the overextensive, but still enough that there was just always an accumulative amount of stuff around me. So, like,
I understand.
When I do it, you know, I'm like, on a very psychological note, you know, now I'm, like, saying it right now in this moment. I don't think I've ever clicked it to this extent before, but, like, it's like I'm recreating what I grew up in, you know, which is, like, the comfortable chaos that my survival brain, you know, my reptilian brain knows that it just goes back there rather than being more in my, like, cognitive self. It's like you go into that subconscious place where you're just doing things and then you feel guilty about it because your conscious brain is like,
hello,
we need to clean. We had a deadline. We seen the deadline. We let it go. You know what else we did? We sat and we swiped. We looked at the time and was like, oh, that's crazy. I was supposed to clean by 11 o'clock. It's 11:05 now. I think I should
start at midnight.
I'll start at 12. I'll start at 12. I feel like that's a good time.
Oh, my goodness. It's so funny because it's true. It is. Like, you're like, I'm going to do it at 11. I'm like, oh, never mind.
For real.
I'll do it the next hour on the hour.
And, like, yeah, like, I have to do it at, like, 12:30. It has to be an even number, or I'll do it at this exact time. You know, oh, you know, I'm going to do it when I'm going to get up and start doing this and that. And, like, you know, when I start doing that, I notice, like, the only thing that gets me up is if I put on a song that I really like. Really, like, it's that or, like, an urgency of, like, I need to get it done for someone else, which is, like, even a trick that, and instead of having guilt and shame around that anymore, I use it to my advantage. So it's like, if I need to get something done by a certain time, even just calling someone or being like, hey, can you come over and just, like, exist here while I do this? Or even just talking to somebody on the phone, it helps, you know, for different people for different reasons. I know there's a study on people with ADHD that it says that literally it helps, and I'm one of those people. So even just having a person on the phone just helps me to be able to do things. It's like a certain accountability that happens where that person literally doesn't have to do anything besides exist as they are, you know? So it's cool. It's cool the different ways that we could figure it out, but we have to learn our own, like, motivational love language.
Listen, that for me, I imagine that I was doing it for a friend because for some reason when somebody called me, I'm not anymore, but I used to jump up and, like, help them immediately. Mm-hmm. And for myself, I'm like, no. Yep. I just wait. So I would, like, treat yourself like you're your own friend. Like, if somebody needs you, like, oh, help me, blah, blah, blah. Act like it's your best friend. Jump up and do it. Mm-hmm. You are your own best friend, too. But now I do it in a way it's like my inner child. Like, what you going to do to protect that baby? Mm-hmm. To help that baby girl.
Lori said I trick my mind of thinking my mom is coming. That always makes me clean my shit up quick. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And it's like, and for those who are romantically driven too, like, you know, treat it like as if it's your partner or the person you have a crush on is, like, coming over or needs help, right. You know, and then treat yourself like that. Like, treat yourself like the person that you should, you know, treat yourself as, you know, if you want to be treated, if you love the way you love, if you're like, wow, you know, if it's something about me, I know how to be a good partner. Like, I'm a great girlfriend. Right. I'm a great partner, whatever it is. Like, treat yourself the same way you treat others, like with that amount of thoughtfulness and urgency, priority. Yeah, like thoughtfulness, all the things, like romanticize yourself, you know, and be like, oh wow, you know what, I would really like if I got if I got myself some sunflowers today. I would really love that. You know, I would also really love if I organized these shelves in, like, you know, with herbs over here and my books over there, and like I would really love that, you know, to come home to that, or to tomorrow. Like my romanticize itself in like past tense, present, future tense, like, you know,
just have it set up all pretty.
Yeah, for sure. And you and remind yourself that you deserve it. Like, you deserve to swoon over yourself. You deserve to be like, you know what, like, because self-care isn't just the face mask and the bathtub full of flowers. No. That is a part of it, but it's how you talk to yourself in there. Are you going to like fill that bathtub up and make it look all pretty so you could post a picture of it? Or are you gonna, you know, fill that bathtub up and feel pretty and feel like you deserved it? You know what I'm saying? Not to say you can't take a picture, you can't do nothing. Like, do it if you want to do it. That's fine. Be
reminded of how you treat yourself good.
Yeah, like you gotta. But yeah, exactly. You'll get reminded. It's like a memento. It's like you're sending a postcard to yourself, but you'll know if you actually are, or if you're like doing it externally. Like, here's attention. I want attention. I'm doing this for me, but I'm doing this for me, and I'm putting this out there for attention for someone else. You know.
After every semester, like school, I always say school's not my thing, but I really enjoy school. After every semester, I like do a reward system for myself. I buy something that I really want, and I'll put it on the postcard. You did a great job. Love me.
That's so cute. That's really cute.
It works. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to like
I can't wait to get my own mail.
Yeah, like,
that's so cute.
Like, after I finish something that I think is tough for me, like the semester, sometimes they could get like towards the end, it's like dragging. I just treat myself like, you know, you did a great job. Keep going. Like, somebody gotta, you know, acknowledge yourself.
Yeah, that's how you validate yourself. Yeah. That's so beautiful. You just inspired me. I want to write a letter to myself. I want to write a letter to myself, like, you know, kind of like giving myself credit and acknowledging my accomplishments that I've made right now, and maybe like one or two that I know I'm gonna make in the near future, and then I'll open it up at the end of the year.
That'd be cool. There's this book that I got the idea from. She didn't do the exact same thing, like, by yourself. Just, like, write a letter if you're the opposite sex. Like, write a letter to yourself. It's called The Artist Way. I think her name is Julia something. But she has, like, all these artist activities, like, take yourself on an artist date, on a child date. Like, things like that is really cool. I need to get that book again. I don't know where it is. But probably time to revisit it. Called The Artist Way. Really good book.
I have like 2 books that I want to read. The last person I was talking to wasn't on my podcast, but it was on Female Centric. I was talking to my friend Steph, and she mentioned this book. It's called like Power versus Force or something, and I really want to read that one too. So now I got both of those in my head. This morning I was like, go buy it on audiobook, and I'm like, finish your books that you're reading right now first. Let's start there.
I'm reading 2 books right now, kind of. So I have to wait until I get some more.
I'm like reading 4 books, listening to 2 audiobooks, watching 5 animes. I'm just like, I have no chill. And what am I doing? I'm not actually doing any of them. I just took a break from all of that. Right, so
you know what? Just stay right there.
This retrograde, I completely just like abandoned everything. Something I noticed that like I had a hard time doing, but that is different now, and I feel like I did it with like literal things. It was like I had a hard time like letting go of anything, right? I would be like, oh, say if it was tabs on my phone. Oh. Like, I have 150 tabs. I'm like, oh, I can't delete them because then I'm going to miss something that I saved for myself that I was important. And now, as soon as I see there's like a lot amount of whatever it is, I'm just like, close all tabs. I don't even think about it. And I do that now with other things. Like, oh, okay, I'm reading 4 books. I'm like, no, I'm not reading any books. Right. Actually, if it's that important, I'll start. Exactly.
Yeah, because you're going to forget. Like, what did I even read? I don't remember.
Yeah. And you realize that when you do that, you know, although it might not be intentional and it might be a part of like, you know, especially those with ADHD, that's like a big struggle is like, you know, finishing what you start and then also like maintaining one without picking up another. You realize that in whether or not that could apply to you is like, you know, when you're focusing on all of these different things and you realize like, in order to succeed is really to like hone in and master on one or two things. And you can still do multiple things. It doesn't mean that you're not great at multitasking and being multifaceted, but like also give yourself permission to just put your focus on one thing, even if it's for 20 minutes, you know, just one thing, you know, one room, one situation. Like I'm notorious for when I'm cleaning. I'll do one room and then I'll be like, jump in another room, and then
it's like, what?
It's hard to acknowledge how much. I'm sorry, I have like a tea burp stuck in my chest right now, and I'm like trying to not burp on the podcast. But yeah, so it's like every room you have all these different things going on, and you don't even know your progress. You could have sat in one room for 3 hours organizing each shelf, but because you have a pile of clothes on the chair, it looks like you did nothing. And then the other room you just started, but you started and it's more an open space and it looks like it's cleaner. So you confuse yourself, you know? So it's like you gotta...
When I was young, I didn't know how to clean. It was so hard for me. I didn't know what to do. Like everything would just be like there and I would be like, Mom, help me. Like I don't know what to do. But yeah, it's like start top or bottom. That's how I do it now. Like all right, top to bottom, whatever. Just keep going, you know. But it can get overwhelming, especially like if I have a short attention span. If I find something like, oh, forgot about this scarf.
Yep.
Like, sunglasses and
thinks about every memory in that scarf. Like smells the scarf.
Like something and you just look at it's so funny. There was a meme. It was like the girl had like a tiara and bunch of stuff that didn't go together. She's like 20 minutes into cleaning and you're sitting back down scrolling. So it's easy to get distracted. Like
yeah, for sure.
It is.
But then remember why you started.
Right.
Remember why you started. That tends to be like the biggest fuel. You know, what motivates you, but not only what motivates you, what makes you devoted to something, what makes you determined, what makes you not only accountable, but what makes you responsibly like focused, and what helps you to complete tasks, you know, like giving yourself the acknowledgement, being like, wow, like I cleaned this room and I even got the molding, like I even did the details, like I changed the light bulb today, you know, like I got my car washed and I took a shower. Me and my car got washed today. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Even like little things. And then for those that are in more of like a manic or depressive or lower space at the time of life, even the little things, like please give yourself acknowledgement. Like I brushed my teeth today. Yeah, I brushed my hair today. I ate food. I had a cup of water. Look at me go.
Listen, when I make
look
my
at me survive.
List, I put little things on there like drink water or little things, just so when you cross it off, you can feel like, all right, I got that done. And then when you look at the other things, you're like, oh, all I have to do is that. I did all
and you
this.
get those serotonin boosts too every time you're checking off. You're like, I did it.
It's like, oh, yeah, I'm done. But don't rush. Like, see, this is just a guide, you know? It's not like deadline or else, you know? But yeah, that definitely helped me. I have to look at it multiple times, like written and like visually picture-esque way. And one thing, it's called SMART goals. It's like SMART, small, measurable, attainable. Forgot the other two. And you basically take your goal and put it into a measure. Like, how do you know you got to this point? Like, when will you know? And make sure it's realistic. Like, oh, I'm gonna get $1 million in 2 days. Like, no, please don't do that. I mean, you can if you get a scratch off, but but like reachable things that you can actually attain, realistic, reasonable, that you know you can do.
Yeah.
And then the time frame that it will take. So that was something that definitely helped. It like breaks everything down to smaller chunks that you could actually digest.
Yeah.
And when you look at the big thing, like, oh, I got to do all this. But if you literally break it down to smaller chunks, like digestible, you could chew it. You could like, all right, I could do that every day. And then next thing you know, weeks, months go by, you're like, I'm getting, closer to whatever the goal is. Yeah. It doesn't have to be gigantic,
For sure. Digestible is key, because it's like when you're trying to take big chunks, you end up choking.
Bite off more than you can chew.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you're literally choking on life, and you're wondering why you feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
It's like you need to cut it up small pieces.
I do that a lot. I can do all this, and then I'm like, but I do it, but it's like, don't do it again. Don't do it again. You can stress yourself out.
You're like, nah, what do you mean? Like, I
got this. I did it.
I've choked so many times on this. Like, I know how to, like, survive this. Yeah. Like, I could replenish myself from there. Like, it's so many different things that we, like.
Like, now I got indigestion now. Like,
yeah. It's like we find different, like, coping ways to deal with the different coping mechanisms to the way we cope. Like, there's so many layers to it. But, like, we're human beings.
Yeah, exactly. We nobody is perfect.
Yeah, and we all have different flavors of that.
Yeah, if you fall off track, it's like, don't beat yourself up about it. You probably needed the rest or needed to just not do nothing for a while. There's times where I need to not do anything, where I just need to just no TV, no phone, please do not disturb. Just sitting there in a robe, tea, vape. Whatever.
Not forget the bag in the car for you. Oh my God, you just said that, and I picture. I was like, wait. I'm like, now we know it's documented on this podcast. You will receive the bag of goodies today. But yeah, I don't even remember what I was gonna say before that, but. Now we're here, and we know that you're gonna receive the bag that's been meant for you for over a year.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's we hit on a lot of different topics that were super needed. Oh, comparison is what I was gonna say. It's so important to not compare ourselves too, to others, because that's gonna be the biggest detriment to ourselves, is when we're like, oh, okay, well, that person's been going through more than I have, or this person's experiencing this X, Y, and Z, but they're taking it and they're putting it in the gym, or they're putting it into this or into their craft. Like, okay, but that's them, but that's not you, and it's okay for you to experience whatever you want. Like, you drawing a comparison to another person is only going to keep you in that space of comfortably being uncomfortable, in a more negative way, in the sense of inadequate.
Right. It's just other people, you don't know what they do behind the scenes or who they know or, how long they've been doing anything. And people are comparing their growth spurts to somebody's end. And it's you're not at the stage yet, maybe, and just worry about yourself. Focus on what you can do and not look at anybody else's plate.
Yeah, and it's it could be the end, or it could be everybody processing things different. So you could be over here processing your emotional passed down trauma from yourself and your ancestors and doing the work to process that, while that person may be doing something physical and haven't even gotten to the mental and emotional. And it doesn't mean that you're necessarily doing more or you're better, but maybe you're starting from the internal and they're starting from the external. Right. So there literally isn't even a comparison that could be drawn, because you can be at the same exact equivalent spot as that person, and yet if you speak to them about emotional stuff, they might have no idea how to tune into that. And if they talk to you about physical stuff, you might be like, I have no idea how to do that either. So it's comparison can be just another way that we self-sabotage to keep ourselves stagnant and in the same place, because it's well, if I compare myself to that, I can make an immeasurable expectation for me to just continue to beat myself up and stay in the same place.
Right. And nobody is you. Like, even if somebody is doing the same exact things, everyone has their own little unique touch to things. So that's another thing. Like, you can do the same exact thing, but you have different experiences and different things to bring to the table. You know?
Absolutely. And every space you're in, and everyone has their own medicine. So it's like only up to you to figure out what that is and to stay as authentic to that, because the only thing you ever have to worry about is not being you. You know, if you're being you, you don't have anything to worry about. You can embarrass the shit out of yourself, but at least you're being you.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you're not being you, then you have more of a space to be embarrassed, because now it's like you're not even being authentic to yourself. At least if you're being authentic to yourself, you're like, and I did that. So what? Like,
Right.
like, so what? Like, that's me. That's who I am. Like, I tripped. Yeah, I'm spastic. That's who I am. Like, you know, not like some other thing that you aren't even, you know. So, yeah, I wanted to in the beginning, but it turned out to be in the end, just as it always ends up doing. I have this book for any of those who are just listening or any of those who are watching. This is a book. It's called Peace of Mind by Amy E. Dean. And it's a little daily meditation for easing stress. For those who aren't watching, it just split.
Broke off July
5th, my birthday.
Wow.
It just broke off
Okay.
at my birthday. Okay, Spirit. We're loud today. So now, yeah, if you're not watching, just know the book literally just ripped in half at my birthday. So, and if you're here with us, it's okay. I'll figure it out. You know, I'll Joe this book. I'll put it together. But
Joe.
I'll repair this book. So, November 3rd, when one's thoughts are neither frivolous nor flippant, when one's thoughts are neither stiff-necked nor stupid, but rather harmonious and habitual, render physical calm and deep insight. By Hildegard of Bingen. Is your mind often filled with unwanted thoughts that leave you filled with worry, doubt, or dread? Such thoughts are often the catalyst for stressful, emotional, and physical responses. Your thoughts may take the form of self-doubt, or example, I'll never be able to do the job right. Or they may be based on insecurity. I'm too plain to get a date. Or they may revolve around fears like, look at this airplane's wing shake. I bet there's something wrong. Stopping such thoughts can help you eliminate many stressful responses. How do you do so? First, become aware of how you think of situations that produce negative thoughts. Imagine in a situation that produces negative thoughts. Imagine a situation which a stressful thought is likely to occur, such as when you're sitting on an airplane waiting for it to take off. As you begin to think stressful thoughts, interrupt them by saying stop to yourself, by snapping your fingers, by standing up, or then replacing the stressful thought with a more positive one. For example, this airline has the safest record in the industry. By practicing thought stopping twice a day for a week, you can begin to think more sensibly and less stressfully. Today, I will believe, so this is the affirmation for today. Today, I'll believe in mind over matter. I'll substitute a positive, relaxing statement for any negative, stressful thought I have.
Wow, that was like perfect.
Mad relevant. Every single time this book does it. This book is like, boom.
Yeah, that book is the oracle.
I love this book.
And look where it's snapped at.
It's
That's
snapped
the
at, like,
craziest part.
the thing is, like, when I got this book, I got it from some thrift store or somewhere. Actually, no, I think I got it from a yard sale. I picked it up out of, like, an old, like, box of books or whatever. And it opened up to the book. So it was already, because, like, it, you know, my birthday's, like, in the half point of the year.
Right.
So, like, opened up to that. But it's been hanging like this for a minute. And I wasn't really, like, hanging it to the side for it to be, like, rip off abruptly the way it did. But, you know, I guess I'll have to read my birthday over
Yes,
again and
definitely
see
a
what that
message
has
there.
said. There's definitely something. So, you know, listen to that. If it resonates for you, reroute that thinking. Even I like the snap, like the snap. I feel like I do things like that, but I don't know if I like consciously do it. I do it in my head, but I like the physical aspect of like if I'm thinking some negative once again, it's like this episode is perfectly complementing the one right before it. We were talking about how my friend Ariel, she had said when you start thinking negatively or judging, like you just say like, hey, what are you doing? Like, get over here, self. Get back over here. Why are you all the way over there? Get out of those people's heads. Go back in your own head.
Right.
Like get back home. What are you doing?
Right.
So it's like that energy, and it's like that reflecting again. It's like now even in a snap, like, all right, like
stop.
All right, cut it out. Like stop thinking like that. There's no reason for you to think like that. So that's cool.
That is. I love those cards. It's so pretty.
Would you like to pull? Right?
Sure.
If you feel comfortable. So these are the surrender cards. So you want to pull what us and collective of whoever is tuning into this podcast and feels resonant and open to getting a card pulled on whatever it is we need to surrender to at this time, or whenever you listen to it. Whenever you listen to it, time and space is but an illusion.
Okay. Let's see. I should probably do it the other way.
Whatever way you want. Maybe backwards is the right way.
Oh, there it goes.
Everything is just loud today. Like the book is just ripping in half. The cards just leaping out.
Wow. Surrender obsessive thinking. If you're obsessing about a person or a situation, turn the dilemma over to spirit. Doing so will help you bring clarity or even solve the problem.
Wow.
Oh, is there anybody there? Yeah.
I'll bring it closer. There you go. With the apple.
Don't bite the apple, Eve.
If you're obsessing over a person or a situation, turn the dilemma over to spirit. Doing so will help you gain clarity or even solve the problem. Boom. 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 Okay. So now we know what we're surrendering to. What are we supposed to connect to at this time? Thank you for pulling that.
It says stop in the other one. That one says surrender to obsessive thinking.
It's a theme. This is a theme that's coming up, and whoever is listening or who will listen, it's going to be like, wow, boom, this is exactly what I'm experiencing right now. This is wild. Because that's how spirit works, and it's crazy. Because, like, it's just as we think we know what spirit works, and
no,
we don't know, too. And it's like...
I'm just, like, it's really powerful right now.
What is it that we are supposed to connect with within ourselves? Our sensuality. 36. The frequency of sensuality reminds us that we are spirit in human bodies. We are sensual beings experiencing joy and pleasure from the physical world through our senses. So just like we were saying before, treating ourselves like our romantic partners or whatever the case is, like treating yourself with that love and that nourishment and that, that sensuality of like, I love me. Like, I deserve this. This is great for me. Like, I want to create this because this feels good. I'm allowed to experience pleasure on my own as well as with other people. I'm allowed to experience joy with myself as well as with other people. Creating and destroy. This is very like sacral chakra, heart chakra, and crown chakra. Like, I give myself permission to experience pleasure. I allow myself to love myself and to connect with my divinity or whatever you want to call it, like your spirit, and like be encompassing of both. Like, you deserve to feel good, So if you're thinking about all the ways you shouldn't feel good, remind yourself that you can feel good and you should feel good. You should give yourself whatever it is that you want, and even if it's like traditionally not so good, in moderation, and figure out why you want it And if that's actually what you even want, you might want to be like, oh, I want a sweet treat. But what you might actually want is like a sweet something to make yourself feel good, like sweet in your reality.
Sweetness in your life.
Yeah, like you might think you want a donut, but really you want just like your life to be sweeter, like your honey to exist in your reality, you know. So that's what's coming up.
That was something.
These are
Let me
cool.
see that like this.
That's pretty. It's a pretty one. Yeah. And these cards, you're supposed to like meditate while you look at them.
Experiencing joy and pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's amazing. Because I always, listen, I'm not going to deny a second to treat myself, okay?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I do it too much, but at the same token, like, I feel like I'll do the smaller things too much for myself. But the long-term things is where I'm working on to do for myself. You know, like, oh, I know that cleaning this house is going to help me feel better in that way. But, like, I won't be quick to, like, I won't hesitate on, like, you know, I deserve to get myself this right now. I deserve to.
That's
like,
why I do it, like, at the end of when I finish something, like my semester. Because other than that, I used to be, like, a shopaholic. That was a problem. But now I learned... Moderation
is key for everything.
Yeah, especially after last year. So, you know, you didn't have a choice.
Without a doubt, we definitely did.
Moderate with toilet paper.
Oh my God, yeah. That was wild.
And hand sanitizer, so I was like, okay.
With everything, you know, everything was, and then like there was points where there was like lack of food too, you know, and like you had to be like everything in moderation. So, you know, just remind yourself to give yourself what you deserve, but also like not be gluttonous.
Yeah, what you need.
Not what you want necessarily, but what you need. And learn how to balance that. I've been like, you know, whatever T out here having me all like making noises. I'm like squeaking on this whole like podcast, like just make like internal bubbles. But yeah,
that was good though.
It was a really good tea. It was really sweet. It reminds me of that. What is that cereal? That was like the toasted oats. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Honey Bunches of Oats.
I think it might be Honey Bunches of Oats. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Because I have honey in here too.
Honey Bunches of Oats. I like that cereal, and I like Raisin Bran. And everyone always clowns my cereal
the
choices.
Raisin Bran.
Like,
I like Crispix. Like I like old cereal too. Like old people cereal.
Right? I think I was with my grandmother like at her house, and it was good to me. Everyone like I'm like, no, this is very good. Raisin cream, like, no. Give me the old lady cereal. Thank you.
We all have our things. But yeah, you know, and before we tune off, and like, you know, I was thinking of is like, there's moments of flow state and these different times that happen, and then there's the times in between where you might not feel particularly in flow, and you're in flux when you're not in flow. There was the last time that I came to go pick you up was a moment where we were in flow. I literally had my one of my really close friends canceled on me the day I had B2K concerts, tickets. And I had bought these tickets, when I tell you, like the day they dropped, because I always wanted to go to B2K concert. Like, and I literally didn't go to Guatemala because I wanted to go to this concert. So that day, like, I got canceled out, and I'm like, can people be like, who's going to come with me? Like, who wants to go? I want someone who wants to go, but also who's going to be, like, equivalently hype. And our mutual friend at the time was like, yo, like, why don't you ask Alonda? And, like, me and Alonda have always gotten along, but we were, like, like, she was my friend's friend. I was her friend's friend. Right. So we always like, yeah, there was always like we've seen each other every once in a while, but we hadn't had the opportunity to like really get to hang out, although we always wanted to. So then that opportunity happened. I'm like, yo, you know, I said to myself, I was like, the only person who's going to come with me to this concert the last minute is either going to be an air sign or a fire sign. I know no earth or water signs are going to have it in them to do that, you know? So I hit up Yolanda. She was like, yeah, I'm down. And I'm like, oh, where do you live? And she like lived like 4 minutes away from me. And I was like, oh, and like we were I want to tell you, 2 hours until we had to be parked and go into the concert. And it just, boom, fell into flow. And everything, when I say like, there's a few moments in my life where I think back and I'm like, wow, everything happened in flow exactly the way it was supposed to. That is the one of them. That day was so perfect, the way everything happened, like to the point, you know, we got there, we got to the concert, we're chilling, we got the seats. Meanwhile, I picked the seats out of complete numerology. I was just like, I forgot exactly what the number of the seat was, but out of numerology, I was like, this is going to be a good seat. And it was. They were great seats.
They were.
And it was like, you were like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. We went to the bathroom. I was like, oh, no, I don't got to go. And I was like, yeah, actually, you know what I do? I'm going to go. And then we ended up meeting the, like, manager to, like, Bobby Valentino's manager. And, like, you know, that whole interaction. And it was mad funny because it was, like, you know, that like, the manager was like, oh, you know, long story short, it was a funny interaction because, like, as a female that has mad tattoos. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Okay, so we're back. It just knocked over my phone. It's okay. We're back in motion. As a female who has mad tattoos, like, people, especially males, will come up to me and just kind of, like, grab my arm and be like, oh, I like your tattoos. And I'm just like, I don't know you. Please don't touch me. Right. Or, like, maybe the please won't be in there at that point because you're already touching me. So I'm like, please don't. Not even I say please again. But just, like, get it back up, please. Do not touch me. Why am I having to wrestle with please right now? But it's okay. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so we're there. We meet them. He's like, yo, you want to come to the after party? Me and Londie look at each other like, you know, after parties can be sus. Like, we don't know if that's, like, the type of lifestyle we're trying to live. Like, you know, we're just came to the B2K concert. I'm like, yo, once B2K popped out of the floor, me crying, like actual tears. Like, my inner child needed that so bad. No,
that was really good. Like all the old songs were so nostalgic.
Oh, it was like, so good. It was like everybody.
Jersey dress.
Yo, jersey dress. Like, it was like the Lakers jersey dress.
That's
or, like,
how I felt. Like I was back in that day. Like,
yeah, for real. It was so good. And we're there and we're chilling, we're vibing, and you know, the whole night was just perfect. It was just going boom, boom, boom. Like, every time we did something, there was just like an instant response and reaction.
It was.
And then we left and we had to run. Remember, I was like, I want to get the t-shirt.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to get the t-shirt, but I'm not paying no $40 at this like stadium.
A scalper with
I'm like, I'm going to, I'm giving back to the community. Let me get one of those shirts outside. It's mad crusty now, but but that's the only way to get t-shirts from concerts. So, you know, I got that one real quick. And then we had to like run.
Had to hurry up and get the car out of the parking lot, right?
Before it closed. Yeah, it was about to close. We made it like with seconds to spare, just made it out. So we're like, yo, do you want to go to this after party? Like, we're posted up at the gas station. Like, we were talking about our signs.
Yeah.
I remember we were talking about our signs. We're like, because you have Cancer in your chart too. Like, you're rising,
I'm a Cancer
right?
rising.
Yeah, and like I'm a Cancer with a Libra moon. So we have like, we're talking about our signs and them being similar and amongst a bunch of other things. Also, like, something to be noted was like, you know, well, actually, no, I get to it. So I'm like, all right, you know, should we do this? Should we commit to this? And like, all right, you know, worst case scenario, we'll just go, and if anything, we'll leave. Like, it's not that big of a deal. We'll go. And we you know, put the message out there. I'm like, hey, listen, like, I'm about to leave, you know, where are we pulling up or what's going on? So he's like, oh, you know, pull up to the Renaissance, da da da. We pull up to the hotel. Like, everyone's like, oh, you know, in the front, whatever. So he's like, you know, just let me know when you get there. Let me know when you guys get there, because we, you know, I have to let you up the elevator. Okay, cool. So we're sitting in the car, and something that could be noted is like when Alana and I decided, like, when she said that she was gonna come, we had spoken previously because on like a spiritual tip of something. So then when we're in the car, we're sitting there with our eyes closed and we're praying like, you know, may we be respected and honored as the women that we are, and may we like be like protected and like, have a good night, you know. Putting that all that, we put the agua florida on us. We're like, all right, we can do this. And we went in and it was exactly that. Like, we got we got so respect. It was so nice. Like, we went into the elevator, went up to the hotel room. It was bad funny because the person who was bringing us to the hotel room was like, oh yeah, everyone's chilling in there, da da da. We pull up in there and like everyone's gone. Like, where the hell are they? But we looked at each other, we like laughed because we seen there was mad cups. So I was like, what sign are you, sir? And he's like, I'm a Cancer. I'm like, don't fuck this up for us, okay? Like, cause like I'm a Cancer too. Like, don't be sus. Like, come on. Like, where's everybody? So he's like, oh, they're in the lobby. We go downstairs. There's like Pretty Ricky's there, Bobby Ventura. Everybody's chilling in the lobby. We're meeting the dancer that was with Pretty Ricky, right? The girl that was, And like, we're talking to her. We turn our head at the bar. Alanda's on TV. Like,
I was like, oh my God. Like, I didn't know this episode was coming out.
She's literally on TV. Like, when she's like, wait a second, that's me.
Right there. Like,
mad calm too. Like, yo, that's me right there. Like, what the chances were.
That was so crazy. It was really fun.
And that was the first time you were seeing that commercial, right?
I was like, wow, like, I didn't know it was coming out that soon. Like, okay, this is cool.
It was like, so talking about being in flow, like, everything that was happening was just like boom, 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 like in flow. And there's other things too that was happening, and like
it was so funny. What's his name? But that one with the dreads. He was like, "I still got that bottle." Like, yeah. At the end, we parked there for 2 hours. We could only, and then after that we were charged. So we're like, "What time is it? Gotta go." We're trying to get out the hotel. We're running the wrong way.
We're like running this way and that way.
We ran back to her. He's like, y'all still got that bottle.
And it was crazy too, because he was treating us like he knew us for years. Like, he knew us for years. And there was like a group of like groupies, literal groupies, like just following him around. And like,
we were just like really chill, just chilling. Like,
it was so chill. Crazy. It was so good. And like, even like the two people that we had met, like the managers, they were like, yo, it was so nice to just chill with people who weren't trying to do anything to like get to anybody. Like, they are so used to, you know, being around people that, you know, were trying to like get to them to get to one of the celebrities or whatever the case was. And it was really chill. It was wholesome. Like, it was nice. It was like such a like really rare and random experience. And everything that we prayed for like happened in fruition. So like, to tell this story, to say, like, you know, besides the fact that it's like one of the, like, I love this story.
So
like,
random and crazy and fun. Like,
it was so wild and so dope. And it was just such a good time. I remember for the rest of my life. And I'm just so grateful that you were with the shits. And like, you were just like, I'll go. Like,
and it was Sunday. I was just chilling. I was like, not doing anything. Just, you know, watch TV. I'm like, oh, let me get ready now. I'll be there. Yeah, let's go.
It was so cool. It was so cool. And like, I'm so grateful for the experience. And like, say that on this podcast in particular, to also just remind, like, when you are in flow, in order to get to flow, because I think about that time in my life too, and in order to be in that flow, I had to surrender. Like, I had to surrender to the fact that my good friend that I had planned to do this with for a long time, like, canceled. And the more I harped on the fact that I'm so mad that she would do this, the less likely I was able to find somebody. I had to surrender to that. I'd move forward, but not like just like push it aside and move on, but more like accept it. And then every obstacle that came up, we would move forward and accept, like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. Like, let's accept it. And let's like, okay, time manage. We need to be gone by this. Like, let's accept it rather than trying to push it. We're having such a great time. Let's stay longer, because who knows what would have happened. Like, if we would stay long, like when we were leaving, we got like we got text. Someone was like, "Oh, can I have that bottle?" I was just like, you know what? here, like we got gifted the bottle anyway, you know, like we the managers when they were about to hop on a flight and they were like, here, take these, and then we were saying, someone's like, oh, you gonna drink them? I was like, not really, like here, take this too, you know. It's like all these different things were happening, and then it started getting like, you know, all these different things were happening. People were coming in and out, like. Who knows if we would have stayed there, if we would have had the same positive experience. Because, you know, the night goes on. People drink more and things go on. Right. But if we were like, oh, holding on to this moment, like, this was such a good moment, I don't want it to end. Right. Like, that's how things end up ending badly when we're just trying to hold on to a moment rather than accepting and moving through just being present. You know, like, oh, okay, I accept this. This was a great time. Now I know if I have to go with this at this time. So I'm gonna keep it pushing. So I just want to leave off on that note where it's like, even the reflective of the cards, like obsessive thinking. Like obsessive thinking can also come in the flavor of like, I don't want this moment to end. Could be obsessive thoughts. So like just tuning into that, tuning into like why you want to hold on to something so much, and then you realize that. Anything that is yours, you let it go and it will return back to you, you know. And I'm saying that also to myself in my current situation with my cat. So all that to say is like, you know, really live and embody your own medicine and know that whatever it is that you do, that you can also receive medicine from too. And you should be, you know, if it's something that you're supposed to be doing, whether that's, you know, anything, literally anything. So listen to yourself and observe the present moment, be in it, return to your breath, and just like accept what's going on around you and surrender to what is. Yeah. So thank you so much for oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being you and for being so dope and for like just being down like both times. Even now, I was like, yo, you trying to do this podcast real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
You know, I have nothing on this Wednesday. Let's do it.
Yeah, I said I'm taking the week off because I've been running. So I did. I tried to cheat off of myself and say, no, I'm going to work. And then they were like, no, never mind. We don't need you. I was like, okay, great. Let me get this to myself.
And I'm on the opposite spectrum where I just came from like, all right, I have my rest now. I'm like getting really on it. So it's like, it's good. It's like, we're like you know, tagging each other in and out. Like, all right, go ahead. You can tag it, you know. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Working on DualiTEA at night. Coming out, or DualiTEA After Dark, which is going to be pulling up soon, and I know you're going to be on that one too, so we're excited about that. So stay tuned. I'm going to give out the information by the end of this week and announce when that's going to happen. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for staying tuned, for listening to whenever, or I'm just repeating myself today, but it's okay. It's all good. You know, just accepting that, moving forward. Right. Anyway, it's like I noticed, and then just like, okay, boom. So yeah, thank you guys. Love you, and I'll see you soon. Have a great day.